Hey everyone, how's it hanging? Mike here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the neglected Vespiquen from the Ancient Origins set. Hopefully by the end of this, I can convince you guys that it's not all that bad of a card. Vespiquen has the Theta Double ability. It's also a gorgeous half art card, so who wouldn't want this in their deck? But anyways, being a little bit more serious now, it has the Theta Double ability, which cannot get shut down by cards such as the Hex Maniac or the Garbodor. So that's actually pretty nice. Definitely something to keep in mind when using the Vespiquen. However, it's not as powerful of an attacker as the other Vespiquen, which has the Be Revenge attack, but we could potentially increase the total damage output so that we do ultimately reach ridiculous amounts of damage such as the other Vespiquen is capable of. So anyways, Theta Double allows us to attach up to 2 Pokemon tool cards onto this Pokemon, which is actually really cool. I mean, keep this in mind, the Bee Drain only hits for 20 damage, right? And it also heals us for the same amount of damage that we did to the opponent's active Pokemon. Now with 2 Silver Bangles, that damage goes up to 80. That is pretty impressive, and it's definitely not something unlikely. I mean, it's very possible that we can attach both a Silver Bangle and a Muscle Band, for example, onto it. 2 Muscle Bands, 2 Silver Bangles. I mean, the sky is really the limit. And of course, how many tool cards you do ultimately run in that deck. But more so, the attack that we'll probably be focusing on is the Furry Swipes attack, which allows us to hit for 30 damage times the number of hits that we get. We do flip a total of 3 coins, so Furry Swipes is dependent on us getting lucky. However, we're going to try and decrease the likelihood of us getting lucky, and instead put a little bit of something to make the flip coins a bit more so in our favor. That card is the Fliptini with the Victory Star ability. Victory Star is essentially like the Trick Coin. However, we don't have to waste it as one of the tool attachments onto that Vespiquen, which, believe me, makes all of the difference. And this is precisely why this is going to be an expanded deck as opposed to a standard deck. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have loved to make this a standard deck, but it just didn't work that well. I mean, Trick Coin really decreases the total damage output of that Vespiquen. Fliptini is just a huge player, so we are running 2 copies of that. And also, another card that works really well in combination with that Vespiquen are the Hypnotoxic Lasers in combination with the Burbank City Gem. Now, the reason being is that oftentimes whenever we do attack, we don't exactly control our flips. And I hate to admit it, but we often tend to fall 10, 20, or 30 HP short from getting that one-hit knockout. Burbank City Gem and Hypnotoxic Laser can allow us to seal the deal and make up for that difference. So very important cards. We are running 2 copies of the Burbank City Gem, 4 Hypnotoxic Lasers, and another Stadium card that we're running are a total of 3 copies of the Forest of Giant Plants. So this will allow us to try and evolve those combis nice and early. It actually does make a pretty big difference in this deck, and it's actually very important that we draw onto it early on. Otherwise, we can often take unnecessary knockouts, because again, a lot of our Pokemon aren't really bulky, very easy to knock out. So we are running a total of 3 copies of the Forest of Giant Plants in our deck. Now, speaking of non-bulky Pokemon, guys, Mr. Mime is definitely one of the lower HP Pokemon that we are running in our deck. Only has 70 HP, but it has a fantastic ability which prevents all damage done to our benched Pokemon by attacks. I hate to admit it, but I've been coming across a lot of Landers EX Bat decks. But even though it's a really poor matchup for us for the most part, that Mr. Mime does make a pretty big difference. Bench barrier, again, just a huge part in this deck. So we are running a single copy of the Mr. Mime in our respective deck. We're also running a single copy of each of the respective evolutions. First of all, we have the Flare effect, allowing each of our Stage 1 Pokemon in play to be a Fire type, in addition to its existing type. Then we have the Aqua effect, allowing our Stage 1 Pokemon to be Water type, and of course the Electric effect, allowing our Pokemon to be the Lightning type as well. So this could potentially allow us to get those big one-hit knockouts with the Vespiquen. So these are very important Pokemon. We are only running a single copy of each, but in case any of them do get knocked out or Lysandered out nice and early, we have the Sacred Ash, so we can absolutely recycle them back into our deck. Now, I've actually been coming across a lot of Psychic decks, a lot of Dragon decks, a lot of Fairy decks, so I haven't seen the evolutions being all that helpful right now, so that's why I've decided to restrict them to a single copy of each. But perhaps things are a little bit different for you guys. You may want to increase the number of Flareons, potentially Jolteons, maybe even Vaporeons, again depending on your situation. But for now, I'm just going to be sticking to a single copy of each, and the Sacred Ash could definitely help us out in case we do need that Jolteon, for example, badly in our bench, or that Flareon or that Vaporeon. Sacred Ash is very useful. We are running a total of 2 copies of the Jirachi EX as well. It's very powerful actually, and allows us to search our deck for any one supporter card, and we can go right ahead and make use of it. Now you guys are possibly thinking, well, if you're just looking for draw support, which is usually what we're going to be using the draw EX for, you guys are probably thinking, well, why not go for the Shaman EX? Well, in case you guys weren't paying close attention, each of our Pokemon have 90 HP or less. Now this allows us to run a deck strictly composed of the level ball, which is precisely what I decided to do. I mean, Ultra Ball can be a huge liability sometimes, often forcing us to discard useful cards. Sometimes we're unable to even make use of it because we don't have enough cards in our hand. Level Ball has no such restriction. The only restriction is that each of our Pokemon have to be 90 HP or less, and our deck definitely meets that criteria. So Level Ball, an absolutely useful card. We are running 4 copies of this in our deck. We're also running, of course, the lasers, which I had already mentioned. Computer Search as our ace-spec card. I don't think it really needs a whole lot of discussing. A single copy of the Escape Rope to allow us to switch in between our Pokemon. 3 VS Seekers will allow us to reuse all of our supporter cards. So we have a single Colress, 2 Ends, and 4 Junipers for some draw support. Doesn't seem like a whole lot, but keep in mind we have those draw EXs, and of course we have those VS Seekers to allow us to reuse those supporters. So this should be more than enough for the most part. We have a Lysander allowing us to essentially bring out any one of our opponent's bench Pokemon as the opponent's active, and then hopefully allow us to get an easy knockout. And yeah, those are pretty much the cards that basically needed discussing. Of course, the Silver Bangles and Muscle Band is very important to increase the total damage output of that Vespiquen, and a total of 8 energy cards, 4 of them being grass and 4 of them being the double colorless energy. So with that, guys, let us go and find ourselves an opponent and just show you guys what this bad boy is capable of. Again, I'm hoping that by the end of this video you guys are at least somewhat convinced that the the Vespiquen can be a viable Pokemon. In fact, it may even be competitive if we ultimately do see a lot more support for it in the near future. Looks like we're going to be facing a Dragon type deck, so those evolutions for the most part are probably going to be relatively useless, and we don't exactly have the greatest starting hand. Alright, so it looks like we're going to be facing Sliggoo. So I'm thinking this is a, what's it called? Can't think of the Pokemon's name on top of my head. There we go, the Goodra, which I think our opponent is going to try and increase the total number of resistance of each of our Pokemon, and just make life really difficult for us, and then essentially snipe out our Pokemon. So I'm going to start off with the Level Ball. You guys will sort of see what I mean. Sorry, I know I don't sound exactly all that coherent right now, but I've actually been recording a lot of videos today well in advance, and yeah, so let us go and Silver Bangle's probably not going to be all that useful, but I guess we're going to go and attach one anyways. One to that Eevee as well, and I'm going to go right ahead and start off with the Juniper. Let's go and bring out that Verbank City Gym. Maybe we can knock out that Goomy nice and early. That could be interesting. Let's then go and end the turn. Looks like that Goomy is going to remain asleep, unless our opponent is running the Wally. I mean, we're not going to see it evolve and get rid of those status conditions, or of course potentially the Pokemon Center Lady cards like that. Those could of course make a huge difference. We're going to see that Starling Megaphone getting rid of those Silver Bangles, but again, I don't think our opponent is probably running a lot of those EX type Pokemon. We're going to see that Shaman EX, definitely a very important draw supporter type Pokemon. A Water Energy card getting latched onto that Goomy. I mean, is our opponent feeling that confident that he can successfully retreat that Goomy? I mean, I know I sure wouldn't be feeling all that confident. I believe our opponent is probably running quite a few Team Aqua's Mux as well. If his deck is essentially what I think it is, if it's the Gutra that essentially hits for more and more damage times the number of retreat cost on our on our own Pokemon. So we're gonna see Shaman EX make its appearance this time around. I definitely think using the N would be the better card at this point. I mean, we have quite a few nice cards in our hand. I mean, I could go for the Juniper, but it could be risky. So let's see. You know what? Let's actually go for the Juniper, guys. I'm gonna go and use the Computer Search, get rid of DVS. But then again, we're giving up so many energy cards. You know what? Whatever. Let's go for it anyways, guys. And let me just take a look. Okay, so we do have the Jolteon. Hopefully we can draw onto that soon. I'm gonna go and look for that Hypnotoxic Laser. Let us go and poison the opponent's Shaman EX. I'm gonna go and attach one more Grass Energy card onto that Combi. Let's go and use that Professor Juniper. And awesome. Looks like we're gonna draw onto that Jolteon. Let's go and bring out the Vespiquen as well. I'm pretty sure opponent's running the Gudra, so I'm gonna bring out the Mr. Mime. I think it's gonna be a very important card. Let's go and bring out the Vespiquen, attach the Muscle Band. I believe we need 2 heads, so 60, 80, yeah, so we need 2 heads at least. Alright, come on, let's see what you can do for us, Victini. Furry Swipes, 3 heads, more than enough. No, we will absolutely not be flipping 200. Alright, I forgot, The lightning weakness. Okay, so how foolish of me. That was a much easier knockout than I had predicted. So my apologies about that, guys. We're going to see the Faded Town one more time. We are just absolutely blazing through the opponent's deck right now. Again, all we need is a single head. So I was... single heads, no, two heads, my apologies, because with the muscle band we're only able to hit for 50 damage, but if I attach the silver bangle then we're sort of guaranteed a knockout, because then that B drain could hit for 40, 70, and then times 2. Yeah, so it looks like our opponent is going to concede the game. I don't blame him. I mean, we just had a fantastic start, but I was actually sort of interested in seeing what type of Gudra deck our opponent had built for us. Faded Town, not exactly what I would have expected. I would have actually assumed to see the Team Aqua secret base, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was thinking about the incorrect Gudra, and our opponent may have been running a different one. So we're gonna see a water and psychic type deck. I'm gonna think that this is the Seismitoad EX in combination with Bats. This could actually be good for us because the Combi is a grass type, and we can get some massive knockouts on that Seismitoad EX. So let's of course bring out those two combis. Okay, looks like instead it's gonna be the Squirtle. Okay, so I think our opponent is running the World Championship deck from the standard format that we had seen, Jacob Van Wagner's deck. I'm almost pretty sure. Okay, no, it looks like we're gonna see Skyla. Maybe I'm wrong. So okay, so that's interesting. I will probably be using one of those level balls to grab onto a Jirachi EX. So we are going to see an Ultra Ball that will get a Skyla and a Water Energy card on that, sorry, in our opponent's discard pile like Caldi EX. So it possibly is still Jacob Van Wagner's deck, or at the very least a relatively similar build, but Jacob wasn't running any Skylas, so that's definitely a bit of an oddity here. So we're going to see that Caldi EX rushing in. I would love to perform a one-hit knockout on it, guys, if I get the Vespiquen out nice and early. So let's go and use Hypnotoxic Laser Tails. We're gonna get rid of our hands, so I'm gonna go and make use of the other Hypnotoxic Laser. It is gonna be a heads. Yeah, let's go and actually attach that to that combi. I'm gonna go and use the level ball. First of all, let's go and grab onto the Victini. Again, I'm hoping, really hoping that we draw onto the Forest of Giant Plants. Let's go and look for that level ball, the Jirachi EX. I want to see if we have one more in our deck actually. So yeah, we do have both of our Jirachi EXs, so that's definitely kind of nice. I don't think we're really gonna need our EVs to a large extent, so let's go and bring out that Jirachi EX. Yes, we're gonna go right ahead and start things off with a Juniper. I would love again to get a big one-hit knockout, but of course we won't. So I guess I'm gonna go and temporarily attach a double colors energy card onto our benched combi, and that is unfortunately gonna have to be how we end our turn. No Vespiquens just yet, and no Forest of Giant Plants. Again, we would have had to get a little bit lucky to make that happen, but with a computer search, it definitely is possible, and that is precisely why I decided to run the computer search as opposed to the dowsing machine. I mean, it's just a much more consistent and powerful card. It always gets us something that we need from our deck. So we're just waiting to see what our opponent decides to do. Since we are seeing the Squirtle, it's possibly not just a full sort of Archie's Blastoise deck, but I think there's a pretty high likelihood that we're going to see at least some Archie's Ace in the hole. I mean, they just work fantastically well in water type decks, and if they happen to be the only card in your hand, then that is precisely when they are the most useful. So we're going to see an additional water energy card getting latched on to that Caldi EX. No Floatstone just yet. If it had the Floatstone, it would have been able to simply retreat and then rush in all over again without really having to give up any cards. We're going to see that Juniper, so we're going to see that first Blastoise going into that discard pile. Again, we could potentially see an Archie's. We could potentially also see a knockout on the opponent's Caldi EX at this time around. So I will definitely be making use of that Juniper, guys. So let's go and use that Hypnotoxic Laser Tails, of course. Hypnotoxic Laser, a heads. Let's go and attach this muscle band onto that benched combi. The double colors energy, Juniper, come on, let's get a Vespiquen. No Vespiquen, are you kidding me? No, I can't do anything, guys, so I'm gonna have to go into end the turn. Hopefully that Caldi EX remains asleep. Awesome. I mean, if that's any sort of consolation whatsoever, we could potentially see one more Caldi EX, and that could easily get rid of that status condition we've inflicted. So this combi could be getting knocked out. Really unfortunate. I mean, come on, no level balls, no Vespiquens. We're running so many cards in our deck that we can make use of, but we've already gone through every single one of our lasers, so that that Verbank City Gym at this point is pretty much useless, except in case we want to counter any of our opponent's Rough Sea Stadium cards, which I'm assuming is possibly the Water Stadium card that our opponent would be running. So we're going to see that Sharon, if our opponent is running an Archie's Blastoise, then he's running a very inefficient one, just because we see so many supporter cards, and that just makes it really difficult to pull off a successful Archie's Ace in the hole. We're going to see that Professor's Letter, 2 Water Energy cards. But still, those Blastoises are not Pokemon that we should scoff at. They can hit for ludicrous amounts of damage, and of course they can really propagate a strategy in which water energy attachments are absolutely a non-issue. So let's see, looks like that Calyrex is going to remain asleep. I'm going to go to attach the double colors energy on to that benched Combi. I guess I'm going to go and bring out this Forest of Giant Plants just to decrease the likelihood of us redrawing into it, because I'm actually going to go for the colors. I don't want to get rid of that grass energy cards. Energy cards are pretty precious in our decks, so let's go and make use of that colors. Awesome, that first Vespiquen. Let's go and attach one more muscle band onto it, bring out one more Vespiquen, and the first swipes, how many heads do we need? So that's 2 muscle bands, so one would do 30, 30, 50, 70, 140. So all we need is a single one. Alright, so things are looking pretty good for us. And yeah, no, let's not flip again. 140 damage again, more than enough. And that is 2 prize cards. So Vespiquen exactly, when it's the most powerful is when we're able to take advantage of our opponent's weaknesses. During this time, it's actually kind of odd because we don't actually need to bring out any of those evolutions. Again, just something highly unusual, but this is definitely something that we can work with. So we are going to see one more chair, and our opponent just has a massive hand. I'm surprised that he hasn't been able to bring out anything whatsoever. But again, as you guys saw in our last battle as well, this Vespiquen deck is just very speedy and hard-hitting. It looks like our opponent is going to concede the game. I feel like you guys have a pretty good understanding of what this deck is capable of. Let's take a look at the stats. Okay, so we only had that 1 damage, but we already went to... Actually, our opponent went through quite a few cards as well. So, anyways, we flipped an equal number of heads and tails. So, 4 heads, 4 tails. Our opponent only 1 head and 2 tails. Anyways, that is going to be it, guys. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out those annotations for my previous video and a random video as well. And yeah, so that is going to be it. Again, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.